Yudhisthira, son of Dharma, overwhelmed King Yudhisthira, although he was not expected to become aggrieved like a common man, became deluded by worldly affection, by the will of the Lord, just as Arjuna was apparently deluded. A man who sees knows well that the living entity is neither the body nor the mind, but is transcendental to the material conception of life. The common man thinks of violence and nonviolence in terms of the body, but that is a kind of delusion. Everyone is duty-bound according to one's occupational duties. A Kshatriya is bound to fight for the right cause, regardless of the opposite party. In such discharge of duty, one should not be disturbed by annihilation of the material body, which is only an external dress of the living soul. All this was perfectly known to Maharaj Yudhisthira, but by the will of the Lord, he became just like a common man because there was another great idea behind this delusion. The king would be instructed by Bhisma, as Arjuna was instructed by the Lord himself. So one point that we see here, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, one point that we see here, that the Lord sometimes puts his devotees in a state of delusion for a purpose that he wants to accomplish, and that is to deliver the transcendental message of Krishna consciousness for the benefit not only of his devotee but for everyone. And that's why he also put Arjuna in a temporary state of delusion so that he could speak the Bhagavad Gita. And now he's putting Yudhisthira Maharaj in a state of delusion so that Bhisma Dev can instruct the Raja Dharma and the Vishnu Sastram Sutram to him and convince him to become the king. So, Krishna tells Arjuna that Sochan Anvasochastram Pragnabhadam Strabhase Gatasuma Gatasumcha Nalasochanti Pandita. The Supreme Personality of God has said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So, as soon as Arjuna surrendered to the Lord, Arjuna took the position of a teacher or guru and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. And the Lord said, you are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. So Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the Supreme is even more important than religious formularies. Now that's a big point, and that requires some understanding. Because Arjuna was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him, there's no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So this doesn't mean, well, the soul is eternal, the body is temporary. I can kill anybody I want, because I'm only killing their body, which is going to die anyway, but their soul is eternal, so I can't be responsible for killing. I only killed the body, which is already dead meat anyway. Well, this is a false rationalization. There are many false rationalizations in this world based on incomplete knowledge. How does one get incomplete knowledge? They speculate. They read something, they think they understand it, and then they speculate on that misunderstanding and come up with more misunderstandings. And it gets worse and worse. So, in the case of Arjuna, he found many reasons why he should not fight. And many of them sound very reasonable and shastric. Everything but depends on context. In the context of being in front of Krishna, in the context of trying to hide behind the philosophy of Krishna to support one's own sense gratification, Arjuna was wrong. Although it sounded right. But what he was doing was cleverly using Krishna consciousness to mask his own sense gratification, motivation. Now, most people are not able to detect such cleverness. Most people say, "Oh, what's wrong with that?" As if they know something. But they don't know zip. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, and he knows when someone's telling the truth and when someone is what you call dissimulating. Dissimulating means being evasive, purposely evasive to hide something. So the art of using the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to support one's own sense gratification is very prevalent today, even amongst devotees. They can justify anything by being overly intelligent and overly clever, you see. And that's why mistakes are constantly being made. We have to always refer back to Shastra. So here's an example, and Prabhupada explains this in the 3rd chapter, 1st verse, Bhagavad Gita. He says that Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness or buddhi yoga or intelligence and spiritual advancement of knowledge as something like retirement from active life and the practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. There it is, right there. 3rd chapter, 1st verse, in the purport. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained karma yoga, or work in Krishna consciousness, in this 3rd chapter. So, Arjuna's saving grace was he had a bona fide spiritual master, and although he was extremely clever and he was able to say things in such a way that sounded 100% right, he still double-checked with the Guru. And the Guru corrected him. So, this ability to double-check with the Guru, or spiritually advanced devotees, is very important, because it's very easy to be overly clever and use the philosophy of Krishna consciousness to mask our own desire for sense gratification. So then Srila Prabhupada says, in a manner, he says sometimes, this is in a letter in 1969, sometimes things are interpreted in a manner dovetailing one's own sense gratification. In the Gaudiya Math, different God brothers took words of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in different interpretations for sense gratification, and the whole mission was disrupted. There you are. He's giving a practical example where it actually happened in the history of the Gaudiya Math. And then in another quote, it says that sincere student places a matter before his spiritual master and questions what is his best course of action. There it is. And that's in a letter in that's in Ishopanishad Mantra 9. Okay, so now what can we learn from this? That is, Prabhupada also, okay, in the 3rd chapter, 26th verse, he also says, very interesting, he says that, but because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. In other words, they study the Vedas to support their sense gratification. Okay. But through fruitive activities, the sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities of understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave, although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities. A slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals, because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So, this gets pretty, let's say, subtle now, because it's saying basically, when you see people who are using the Vedas for their sense gratification, you should not, let's say, interrupt them. But what should you do? You should act in such a way to show the proper following of the Vedic path. So the proper following of the Vedic path is to become Krishna conscious. That's the goal. Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya. The whole goal of the Vedas is to understand Krishna, and to understand Krishna means one engages full-time in devotional service. So, the devotee teaches by example. That's called acharya. A genuine acharya teaches by their example. Now, this is not an easy thing to do, because sometimes one is faced with antagonistic people who are very critical. So, what is the behavior of a devotee in such a situation? Well, there's two paths. One is to tolerate, like Ambarish Maharaj. Even though Durvasa Muni was trying to kill him, he tolerated it and depended completely on the mercy of Krishna and continued his Krishna consciousness without being interrupted by the distressful situation. And the other way is that one, like Jad Bharat, when he was severely insulted by this king, Rahugana, he preached to him, and the king surrendered because he preached fearlessly to him, but in a bona fide way. So that, be fearless is important, but to be bona fide is just as important. So bona fide means you can convince a person without them resenting the instruction. And that is a great art. not everyone can do that. So if you're not able to do that, then it's better just to tolerate and not react. So, what about if someone's attacking you physically? Well, then you have to protect yourself. What if someone is attacking physically another devotee? Then you have to intervene and stop it. But if it's verbal, we can tolerate. If it's abusive verbally, we can tolerate that. And if we don't tolerate it, then you get into what's called an interminable, unending fight. Okay? That usually ends up in violence, divorce, whatever. So, here we have a lot of instructions here. This is a very major point that Prabhupada is making. So, first of all, we should never criticize genuine great devotees. Like someone could say, oh, Arjuna, he was just like a karmi. No, he's not like a karmi. Or Arjuna had, or Lord Rama got his karma when Sita Devi, when he was expelled from Ayodhya, and then Sita Devi was kidnapped. He was suffering karma. No, that's not true. You see, so and then when Brahma, he looks at his daughter Vak with sexual desire, and then he has to give up his body, and people say, oh, why do we accept Brahma as the founder of our sampradaya? He had sexual desires for his daughter. That's abominable. It's a nonsense. No, you should not criticize, because there's something greater behind it. The Lord is putting his devotees in these situations to instruct others. And the instruction is, Brahma gave up that body that he had that was, infected with lust, and he had to take another body and then continue in his duty. So there are a lot of things that we should not speculate about, but should ask more advanced devotees who have more experience in Krishna consciousness, what is the right thing to do? So that's what Prabhupada says here, that the devotee, like Arjuna, he submitted his doubt to Krishna, and Krishna cleared it up for him. And here's Prabhupada says that sincere student places a matter before his spiritual master and questions what is his best course of action. Okay. So that's one point. So by the will of the Lord, just as Arjuna was apparently deluded, so Yudhisthira, though he was not expected to become aggrieved like a common man, became deluded by worldly affection by the will of the Lord. Now, worldly affection means too much attachment on the bodily level to family, relatives, race, ethnicity, nationality, universality, all these things. One can be attached to the universe in a mundane way. One can be attached to family. One can be attached to their ethnic identity. One can be attached to their national identity. One can be so attached it becomes xenophobic. You know what that means? No. Huh? No, fanatic. Not more than fundamental. Fanatic. They believe in the bodily concept, just like the Nazis believed that the blonde, blue-eyed Aryan race was superior to other living entities, and races that they thought were inferior, they killed them. They wanted to eliminate. They didn't want them to reproduce and create more aberrant beings. They wanted them dead. So they killed gypsies. They killed Jews. They killed communists. Right? It's not just the Jews they killed. They killed a lot of, and they gassed a lot of other people. It's not just the Jews. You think they only killed the Jews. That's not a fact. They gassed the gypsies. They gassed the communists, and they gassed their own people. Well, their own people that were communists, And other people that didn't agree with him, they gassed also. They killed. Because they had an idea of what is the superior race. And they called it Aryan. They got the word from the Vedas. But because Hitler didn't accept a bona fide spiritual master, he screwed everything up. He got it all wrong by his speculation. Yeah, they borrowed a lot of things from the Vedas, many things. But because he didn't accept a guru, he accepted false gurus like Nietzsche. Nietzsche was a crazy guy. He's a German philosopher. He wrote all kinds of crazy things, and they followed that. He talked about Übermensch. Übermensch means the Superman race. So Hitler adopted that idea of making a Superman race. And when his Superman got defeated by a black American in a fight, it was very insulting to him. So in 1936, they had a world boxing championship between a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed German and a black fighter from the United States. And I think it was, what was his name? Jackie Robinson or something? I forget the name of that guy. Yeah, there was a runner also in the Olympics. Yeah, that was another insult, because they consider black people, they don't even consider them human beings. They consider them like animals, So, they had this false idea of bodily attachment to race. So the common man thinks of violence and nonviolence in terms of the body. But that is a kind of delusion. Now, this is a hard point to understand. Everyone is duty-bound according to one's occupational duties. A Kshatriya is bound to fight for the right cause, regardless of the opposite party. In such discharge of duty, one should not be disturbed by annihilation of the material body. So here, this is a hard question here now. He's saying basically that the Kshatriya who kills on the battlefield in a fair fight is not really subject to prosecution for killing. Right? It's not murder. It's justified killing. But the adversary has to be equal, an equal adversary. They can't kill a person, first of all, who's not fighting, who's just an observer or a non-partisan. And they can't kill people that are less qualified than them. They have to fight equally qualified people in a fair fight. And if someone surrenders, they can't kill him. So just like when Maharaj Parikshit was going to kill the personality of Kali, Kali surrendered. Not Kali Mata, but Kali, the person who's instituting or beginning Kali Yuga. So Maharaj Parikshit didn't kill him. And you don't kill women. You don't kill children. You don't kill elderly people. You can only kill people who are your equal. So when Jarasandha he was challenged to fight, he refused to fight with Krishna. He said, I won't fight with that guy. He's just a Vaishya. He's not a Kshatriya. Not born in a Kshatriya family. He's thinking he's born in as the son of Nanda Maharaj, who's a Vaishya. He's not worthy of fighting with me, right? And then he chose to fight with Bhima, because Bhima was a Kshatriya, right? So you see, there was a very strict code. So when you fight in this way, in such discharge of duty, one should not be disturbed by annihilation of the material body. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, don't worry, you're going to kill Bhima, I know, you're going to kill Dronacharya. He says, no, don't worry about it. Their souls are eternal. But see, when he says that, Prabhupada explains that that doesn't mean you can kill anybody you want. It's a very specific circumstance. So, but see now, dishonest people will take that and say, oh, you see. It's okay, you can strap a bomb with nails in it and everything and blow it up in Times Square and kill, 400 people. It's okay, you haven't killed anyone. They're just they're all kafirs. They deserve to be killed. No. See, the person that does a thing like that is going to hell for a very, very long time, no matter what their imam says, because it's an extremely sinful thing to do that. But they rationalize it as being the topmost service for Allah. You see, so the danger in Kali Yuga is you have so many false representatives of spiritual knowledge, and it creates complete confusion and havoc. And a lot of innocent people are unnecessarily killed. Okay, so we'll stop there. There's a lot to this short little one-paragraph purport. Any questions? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go to Premanandi Haribol. Huh? Yes. Well, what message you're going to send? Yeah, it'll be over by 12:30, and then you have to take prasadam. So then Sankirtan will go out between 1:30 and 2.